Good morning.
Morning.
You stole my
good?
line.
Don't show my McDonald's cup though.
Walkie-talkies. We keep the
Oh,
walkie-talkie
so you can talk to each
just
other.
in case one of us has a heart attack while the other one. Well, I'll see y'all later.
Okay, you go to yours. You always said on Channel 8. See, my other gun is zeroed in for 300 yards. It's dead on at 300.
We're a different breed from most people. A lot of people don't want to come out here.
The old saying,
They don't want to
You're
get away
perfectly
from it.
normal. Come on.
the old saying, "Get back to nature." This is getting back to nature.
nature.
This is what it's all about. This is why we do this. We get back to nature, and we're fortunate to have a man that's put his property back to nature.
Oh, these are some men from San Antonio. Biggest group of them, I think most all of them were Southwestern Bell employees, a long time, and all retired from there. Real good quality hunters, the old time hunters, the real hunters. And I guess they've been with us here somewhere between 10 and 15 years on their lease. Real campers. And they spend a lot of time getting ready for the hunting season and spend a lot of time here around the campfire and getting their camp ready and telling the same old stories every year, getting just as many laughs from them.
Anytime you have a report here, first liar don't have a chance.
This next one makes that's twice as good.
The first liar loses all the time.
You got biscuits in the biscuits ready, getting ready.
I don't think any of us show any signs of being hungry.
When I first started hunting, my uncle used to set me in a tree and I'd freeze my fanny off. I was 8, 10, 11 years old. And that was the old type hard hunting. I mean, you had to be a devout hunter to be able to keep doing that. And that's the way most of us have started and lived. Now that we're getting a lot older, we're expecting a little more comfort.
A lot of us were poor, and
A lot of us are still poor.
No, but I mean, we were poorer than we are now.
No,
Definitely, we're better off than we were when I was a child. Anyway,
gosh, yeah.
and the hunting that we did back then, you would ask permission from a rancher, and you could get permission from anywhere.
Sure.
Anybody would let you go and hunt in the ranches. It's different now.
Well, you talk to some pretty good men there. Like I say, you talk to some real hunters, campers and hunters. Damn, those guys can up fish in the summertime and freeze it so they can eat it here, and can up vegetables out of their garden so they can have it here. They're what I hate to see fading away, but they're a dying breed.
The hunter is getting to be a dinosaur. It's eventually probably will be on their way out.
Deer license, hunting license in the state of Texas have, the dollars to the state have been going up slightly, but the numbers of people taking out the licenses are going down. That's a trend. They're a little bit flat, I believe, right now. The reason the dollars are up, they keep raising the price to buy a license. And at the same time you do that, you cut out another little element of society. The cost of the deer lease and the cost of the license, those two things combined, and you're cutting out a certain element of society that can't afford to do it. I don't think that's good. I don't think that's good for Texas. I don't think it's good for wildlife.
The ranchers still depend on hunting for a source of income. I mean, a very great source of income.
It used to be you could, like he said, you could ask a rancher to let you hunt on his place, and he'd let you because it didn't mean anything. Yeah, go kill a deer. But nowadays, it's gotten to where a lot of the ranchers pay their taxes. They buy their new pickup or whatever for whatever on the income from deer hunting.
But that's another reason you don't have as many youngsters getting into deer hunting, is because of the wealthy people coming in and paying these exorbitant prices to go shoot a deer.
Yep.
And someone that's common man or somebody less fortunate they are can't afford to pay those high prices.
Why should the David Bamberger lease out something like this
Yes.
when he's got all these high dollar guys over there?
Well, I'm hoping that Mr. Bamberger does it because he knows that we'll take care of his property, and we're kind of a novelty to him, maybe. You know, a bunch of 5 old retired guys over here in a tent, you know. But you know, he could. Oh gosh, yeah, he could get a lot more money than he's getting from us for this property.
The one on this side's the baby.
Yeah.
The one in the back's a doe.
When the hunting season's on here, I almost cringe. Even 45 years ago when I started hunting, I was anxious to bring home venison, put in the freezer to eat. I really was anxious to get a nice set of horns. Me and my buddies would go out and camp out. And then 2 or 3 weeks later, after the season was on, to take my own son along with the other guy's son and take them to our deer camp and let them sit around the campfire with us, listen to us talk, smoke a cigar, drink beer, and poke the fire, and just kind of let the boys see what men did, you know, and think about whether they were going to move into that. I don't know what you call it, initiation or what. Now I see the hunting with the disappearance of this kind of hunter. And I see the ones that have to have television. I've even had them had to have the television in the deer blind battery packs. To see the hunter that comes that's borrowed a rifle, he's never shot it. To see the hunter that shoots something, doesn't have a knife even, and wouldn't even know how about gutting or skinning or bleeding it, have to wait for a guide. I don't see this, it's the same. It's not the same. Irrespective of my personal feelings about it, it's absolutely necessary. We must keep the population under control. And the only predator that deer has out there today is the man with a gun.
Deer used to live in a balance with their predators, which were mostly probably mountain lions and wolves, both of which man wiped out because they competed with man for the critters, both as a hunter and as a rancher. Men really don't seem to like to have predators around.
If we're going to keep that population down to where plants and other animals and our domestic livestock all can, and us too, function here together, we have to hunt. The main reason we do it is to preserve habitat for all the species. And if you let anyone get out of balance, you get into trouble and you get there real quick. And I'm not going to tear down 34 years of conservation work here just to build up and satisfy perhaps one other element of society that might be opposed to hunting. And our income from hunting that first year was $3,000. And when I called these guys a year later to come back, They said, Bamberger, we're not coming back there. The biggest deer we shot on your place, field dressed at 55 pounds, we took him home in an Albertsons grocery sack. So they wouldn't even come back. So we began habitat restoration. Our hunting program, it's not $3,000 anymore, and the deer don't go home in a bag, grocery sack. We bring in $45,000 a year from our deer hunts. And in our game managed area, when we last had records, which was 2 or 3 years ago, the smallest deer on that area field dressed at 105 pounds. Now all of these things happened. Water, increase in bird life, increase, every wild animal in this part of Texas has a home here. All of it happened because we began working with Mother Nature.
Uh, 30 years ago, as you mentioned, this place was a cedar-infested patch of ground. And this gentleman saw a diamond in the rough. Today, it's a show place of conservation land stewardship. And we recognize forest stewards not based on plans or good ideas, but based on actions and works. When it comes to woodlands, wildlife, soil, water, recreation, conservation education, leading by example. And we're happy to present this certificate to you.
And to Margaret, where's Margaret? Come here, honey. Got your name on there. Thank you very much.
Wally Edmondson here is our Oakwood Stewardship Board.
One of the things that was most impressive about that award, and I'm really proud of it, it's a result of over 30 years of work trying to do what I'll call reforestation here. And I can tell you this, that I've planted over 3,200 trees here on the ranch. And you have a 0 success rate planting a tree today in the hill country of Texas if you don't protect that tree with a corral or a cage, because the deer just love to eat on these new leaves and these new plants. I've introduced these trees, but my success rate where I didn't put a corral on them was absolutely 0. And I brought species of trees back to this ranch that were endemic to Blanco County, but were browsed out or droughted out or grazed out over the years through very poor land stewardship practices.
Okay. What we have here is an Eve's necklace that got started here in this spot by itself. And when we noticed that it was growing, we came and put this corral around it so that the deer couldn't get to it. The deer are eating off the ends of all of the little branches. They probably stick their nose in and over the top also.
If we cut off hunting, let's say just on this 5,500 acres of ours, 4,000 acres of which has a high fence. So let's just stay to this 4,000 acres with the high fence. That is the planet Earth to that wildlife that's in there, particularly the deer. If you cut off hunting on that planet Earth, that 4,000 acres, within 5 years, you're going to see malnutrition. You're going to see such habitat destruction that you wouldn't believe. And then you're going to see death. You're going to see deer running around with parasites loaded in them because the food supply is down, the ground cover is destroyed. It'll just be a sight that you wouldn't want to see. And I've seen that historically in the past on other places where the ground was just beat to death. It looks somewhat like a tennis court. The hoof action plus the animals trying like heck to find something to eat. Everything comes out of the earth. They're grabbing it. So you have lost the habitat for everything. You've barren the soil. rain start washing it away, and you move yourself backwards to a damage that might take 1,000 years to repair. And without someone to maintain that population control, and we are the predator, we're going to lose 34 years of conservation work here on this ranch. Whomever my board of directors puts in charge of this when I'm no longer here, we're building an institution here. This has been set aside, recognized by the federal government as a 501c3. I call it building an institution that will never show the signs of civilization that you see in parks and sanctuaries all across America, such as gift shops and cafes and vending machines and this sort of thing. The future leadership and management of the Bamberger Ranch Preserve will always be hunting, because they will be people that are interested and knowledgeable about the environment, the whole ecological system. They will also be an institution that has to have a certain amount of revenue, whether it comes from hunting or cattle, which we'll always have, or people ranching, or grants or contributions from people that are in sympathy for what we're doing here. So it's something that's going to go on forever. It isn't going to stop just because I'm not around. You see, what's happened, we found an answer to the screwworm, which killed off a lot of deer. And secondly, we had what biologists now admit was a misguided regulations in regards to doe, the killing or the shooting of the doe. Then you add to it the advent of high fences, the breaking up of the ranches into smaller tracts. You've probably noticed we have about 4,000 acres that are under high fence. So I don't think you're going to see them coming down. And probably the more advanced, the more the awareness goes up, the more research and the more intellect that goes into this. It's probably inside of the high fences that the better managed wildlife programs will be. This hunter that I told you that comes from out of the state, that's coming into our high fenced area. He's spending what I consider in unconscionable dollars. Dollars that the blue collar worker and the real legitimate hunter that hunts for both the meat, for the recreation, for the social part of it, and culturally. That individual can't go out here and pay these prices. The whole industry has come into being here in Texas, and they call them outfitters. And it's a whole new industry that go out and sign up private lands and then professionally market those in sports magazines and other methods across the country. We talk about this a lot at different meetings and things. And is it good or is it bad? Well, it's good for the economics of the rancher for the time being, and it's good for Texas economy, I guess. But is it bad for society in general? The way do we have to have everything that you have to be rich to afford it? Do we have to have everything just for the aristocrat or the elitist? Conservation in general is becoming an elitist type of activity. Who all can afford to go to see the Grand Canyon? Who all can go to Big Bend? Who all can come and go hunting if we keep on making it to where it costs so much that access to land is not affordable? How can we expect a blue-collar worker to have a deer lease and bring his son or daughter on a deer lease when the deer lease is sometimes $1,000 and $2,000 per gun here in the hill country?
I don't know if I could really want to go on a guided hunt like that unless there's something for really.
Well, what you have to understand, Harv, that they lead a different lifestyle than what we live. You know, some of those people just don't have the time to come up. They're executives, and they got this, they got that, and some of them really don't have the heartfelt wanting to be an outdoorsman and to be with nature.
They don't want to have to go out there and live like we do in 30-degree weather.
That's
and
right.
You know, cold and stuff. And that's fine, because they can afford to go the first class route.
Difference between somebody that pays a lot of money and does, there's similarities, and there's individuals that are in our position probably that don't care about the game either. Just like somebody that would have a lot of money that would come in and in one day get something out and he's gone, and he didn't really enjoy the scenery and the woods and the animal and other things that flourish in here.
And we do hunt, but there's other things that go along with the hunt that we probably enjoy as much as, if not more, as going up there with cameras and taking videos and just hiking, walking, just being out with nature in itself.
We treat his ranch as though it was ours.
Of course, if Mr. Bamberger says, we've got an excess number of deer and we need to take out more, I've got family and I've got friends that they eat deer, and I'll be glad to go ahead and share that. If he wants more deer taken out of here, I can give the meat away to somebody that's going to use it.
It's never wasted.
As long as we don't
It's never wasted.
Never wasted.
Never wasted.
No, ever.
No, and there's too many people, and in fact, there's too many charitable organizations that are more than happy to take venison.
I don't think that we could ask for a better man than Mr. Bamberger is, as far as conservation and being concerned about his ranch and the way things should be, the way all ranches should be. He's really, really been good to us. There's no way we can ever thank him enough for letting us just come up here. We just love it.
Please subscribe, like and press the bell icon. Please subscribe, like and press the bell icon.